Hi, this is Alex Skolnick, guitarist for Testament and the Alex Skolnick Trio and others, and you're listening to Sonic Perspective.
What's up, dear listeners? I'm not going to have any fancy intros for you today, but I'm just going to cut right to the chase. I just had a fantastic talk with one of my boyhood heroes, Alex Skolnick, and he is currently touring Texas with the Alex Skolnick Trio, and let's get right to it. Alex, it's been a while since you and I have sat down for an interview. I think the last one was in 2005.
Wow.
Yeah. So and since then a lot has changed. Like you're back in Testament. You're not actively involved in Trans-Siberian Orchestra anymore, right?
Correct.
Right. But you have guested on all
away. Just for many reasons, which I can get into. It's a very different landscape for my career right now, which is it's going great.
Yeah, like you guested on a lot of other people's albums, and you did the Planetary Coalition thing, which was incredible. I love that album.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. And you guys just wrapped up with Testament. You just wrapped up that ginormous farewell tour with Slayer.
Yep. That's right. Biggest tour of the summer.
Yeah.
For the year, actually, as far as metal.
Yeah, absolutely. And
sold out. Yeah, that was an amazing experience.
That's nuts. And I was talking to both Eric and Chuck just a few weeks ago, and they were both telling me how busy they've been staying even apart from the Testament Slayer tour. I mean, you guys all have so much going on right now.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's healthy personally, because I used to feel like this oddball because I didn't see the band as my entire universe. But now I think it's great. I think it's good to see those guys kind of spreading their wings and doing different things outside of just being a member of our band. And Eric's got his black metal side where he wears makeup and does, but he does that music really well. And his new record it's getting great reviews from fans of black metal. And then Chuck he's kind of becoming more of a business guy. He's the type of person on the road. He watches Shark Tank and all those shows, and he's tapped into his entrepreneurial side, and he's got a line of products now. The Chief, which is his vaping pen, and he's got he's very active with that, and cryptocurrency and a bunch of other things. So it's good. It's good to see we're all doing our own things.
Yeah, cryptocurrency, man, that is so San Francisco.
Very, very. And then me, I've always had I've always had various musical interests. I never saw playing in a metal band as dictating everything else I do, which I guess is unusual because most members of metal bands pretty much stick with that band and that sound. But I always had a jazz and blues and funk side as well, and enjoy working with musicians from those genres. And when I play with my trio, for example, I'm able to put it all together. And I do, as you mentioned, I do work with a lot of different musicians. And most of the musicians I work with outside of Testament are not from the metal world. I have my metal band. I figure that's Testament's a great metal outlet. Although I do have one other project, Metal Allegiance.
Yep.
Which is there. I really get to be a sort of final decision maker and co-producer, and just kind of oversee the whole project. And it involves multiple different singers and various guest artists, and then that's a whole other project. But yeah, I mean, I'd say at this point, this is what I imagined years ago when I sort of stepped away and tried to refigure my direction in music.
Oh, when would you say that happened?
I would say like the mid '90s. I had a few years right after I left Testament where I just needed to go that process. I needed to try different things. I played in several different lineups in the San Francisco Bay Area, several different types of bands. And by the middle to the end of the '90s, I realized that I want to make use of that experience. I jumped into touring and recording in a metal band, right out of high school. But I also didn't want that to forever define who I am as a guitar player and a musician. So I also realized I needed to get the hell away from the San Francisco Bay Area because I just felt suddenly it felt like a small town to me. And I realized the most successful musicians there seem to come from other places. There's this shadow of musicians there. Like the big ones, of course, are like Santana. Yeah, he came from Mexico.
Yeah.
Metallica. The two main guys. One came from Denmark.
Yeah.
Where he found the other one in Southern California. So you look at that, and then just most of my friends who had grown up in the Bay Area, I just think it feels slower to me. It's a slow pace. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, but like another musician who did grow up there that went on to be pretty well known as a fellow Satriani student and a great guitar player in the jazz world named Charlie Hunter.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's amazing. But he ended up leaving as well.
Oh, wow.
thought he was crazy.
Huh.
And I just think there's just something about it. And also I recommend it for many people to just try living somewhere else. Radically different. I think it's a good experience, and I was grateful that being in Testament sort of allowed me to travel to different places and just to experience different places briefly. But for some reason, New York. Every time Testament would go through New York, it was this crazy experience. Because all the press is there, so you get rushed around. You meet the record label people. The big photographers are there. You do photo shoot. It was just this rushed, hectic thing. And I started visiting New York during the '90s, just on my own. And I really liked that energy. And I started meeting really good musicians and just being around them. And then I just realized, okay, I need to be in New York. I need an excuse to come to New York. And my excuse was to go back to university, get a degree and study music at the university level. And I went to the New School and graduated with honors, and that was where I met my drummer, Matt, and that's what led to the trio, which I'm still doing today.
Yeah, it's been you and the same two guys since when, like 2002 or something like that?
Well, first we had a different bass player, and he was also at the New School University. And he was with us a couple years, and he ended up wanting to do different music and sort of lost interest in playing upright. He's actually a very, very good electric bass player, too. But Nathan had just moved to New York, grown up with Matt, and he came in, and we just found a chemistry. It just really sort of developed. And now, we're at the point where we do original tunes, but the original tunes have a lot of personality, and they seem to get a lot of appreciation from listeners who are checking us out, whether they're curious because they know me from the other stuff, or we actually get a increasing number of musicians that really don't know much about my other work, and that, which is fine.
Yeah, speaking of some of your other work, I do want to touch on a couple of the guest appearances that you've done over the years. Okay. You guested on a CD by Rodrigo y Gabriela a while back.
Yes.
At Man from 1111.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any reflections on that song?
Yeah. That was one of my favorite guest appearances.
Yeah?
Yeah, they became great friends of mine. And that was my first time meeting musicians that were a little bit younger, who had sort of, they had heard me as fans back in the early days, and had gone on to do their own thing. And in their case, they ended up being on all the late night shows in the United States, and doing playing on festivals above Robert Plant in Europe. I mean,
wow,
that's how big they got. And it's just amazing. And then it turns out they're fans of mine. But also, more importantly, they're just really unique musicians. They sound like a whole band, just on 2 acoustic guitars. And their music's it's fun. It reaches a lot of people, not just musicians. And I did a bunch of tour dates with them. They took the trio on tour.
Nice.
We played Radio City Music Hall.
Wow.
And just lots of fun experiences. And they helped inspire me to explore more acoustic music, which I've done. Both on the new album has a couple songs on acoustic guitar. The new trio album called Spectrum, and Planetary Coalition, which you mentioned, which was all acoustic and world music, and they guested on a song as well.
Now, one thing that I really, really love about their style is that it's basically metal on nylon string guitars.
Yeah, that's true. I think they were the first one to prove that could work.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, I hear that, but I also hear Strunz and Farah, which is another great guitar duo, and the trio of Dimiola, De Lucia,
and McLaughlin. Oh, so good!
Right, which is just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So they have bits of that, but they also they certainly have the metal thing to that, and it's this really cool combination.
Yeah, I remember photographing them when they played here about 6 years ago,
right?
And more than half the audience were a bunch of long-haired, black-shirted weirdos, and there was one dude in particular that was shouting "Return to Serenity" the whole night.
Oh, funny.
But another album that you guested on a while back that was completely out of the left field was one by Ofri Elias, a Jewish singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you end up working with her?
Well, it's kind of interesting. That came about because we had a relationship, actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, I met her at the new school.
Okay.
And initially, I was just going to produce her album, and she and the guitar player. I didn't think I should play guitar because at that point, we were briefly married. It's a long story. She wanted to spend the rest of her life in Israel. I like Israel, but clearly I need to be in the United States. But we had it was for a few years. It was a good relationship, and she working on her album really was a very different experience because it was it was all, it was mostly international musicians. I'm certain, and this was before I'd even met Rodrigo y Gabriela. I think that really helped plant the seeds for doing Planetary Collision later on. But initially, I just said, why don't I'll produce the record, I'll assist. Actually, there was the keyboardist ended up. He was really the main producer. I didn't really trust myself to do that type of music at that time. But I ended up having a much bigger role in it, and there were times I would just show. There were a couple different guitar players supposed to play on the record, and I would show them parts. And I think the producer, whispered, why is he not playing the parts? He should be playing on the record. So I ended up playing on her record, and that's a great record. Another around that time too, through her drummer, I started playing with another Jewish singer, older, who's now a late singer. She's not around, but very popular in the United States, named Debbie Friedman.
Oh, you worked with her?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm on one of her records too.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. So, and you got that gig by working on the Orphrey album?
I got that gig partially through that. Through the drummer. Yeah, the drummer on the Orphrey album. His name is Benny Kuniewski, and at the time he was playing for Debbie Friedman.
Okay.
And they said they wanted to add a guitar player, and I had to go audition.
How long had it been since you'd done that?
I hadn't done that. Well, actually, not that long.
Okay.
I'd had a couple auditions in the mid '90s that in both cases I basically came in second.
Really?
All but got hired. Yes. And I think that was another thing that really got me to just start over. Mm-hmm. And just not be dependent on some gig and some audition. And, one of them was Ozzy Osbourne. And
what?
Yeah. And the other one was the Spin Doctors, which would have been a really weird fit. But at that point, I was willing to try anything.
Uh-huh. I could totally see you doing either one of those. I mean, one thing that I saw you mention in an interview that I read ages ago was the importance of being fluid in many styles.
Right.
And you've really stuck to that.
Yeah, and I think now it's not such a shock if I say that. Yeah, I jammed with the Spin Doctors and, almost jumped on a tour with them. But at the time, it seemed really weird. And then, with Ozzy, he was trying many different guitar players. I think, things just weren't working with Zach at that time.
Uh-huh.
And, we actually did a show. I was flown to the UK, and we did an unannounced show, and, I was told I was hired, but then, I don't know. They got somebody else, and then, Zach ended up coming back anyway, mm-hmm. Which I figured probably would. Anyway, but both those experiences told me, okay, I don't want to wait around for some audition to come up, and, I just really want to, kind of reinvent myself. So, those records, it was interesting. Doing those Jewish music records really opened up some different sides of my playing, and also just having the experience of sort of playing as a studio musician, mm-hmm. and just adjusting it to another artist's work. I think that's a really important skill, not to just be able to play one thing, but to really sort of tap into your playing and be creative, come up with parts. The those are both albums that came out, but I did that for various demos and many different artists. And I think it's a really good skill to have.
So you mentioned that this kind of set the seed for the Planetary Coalition album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you go on a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I think like doing world music on a Freeze album. Really, I always thought, wow, there's an intensity to some of this world music
mm-hmm.
that I think is really powerful, and I can tap into the sort of John McLaughlin, Demiola side, that's always been a part of my playing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as working on speed, I would listen to those guys more than say Yngwie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, I did when I was really young. I had an Yngwie phase. But that was music I really liked to listen to. And then, I think, I always thought, okay, one day I want to do my own project. I want to have international musicians. So, fast forward a few years, and I'm playing, with Rodrigo y Gabriela. One of the shows, actually a couple of the shows, we had, they had these guests that were these oud players, Le Trio Gibran.
Yep.
From the Palestinian oud players. And they're just incredible. And they got a kick out of what I was doing. So one of them, Nad Gibran, said, mm-hmm. I'm going to do my own stuff. I would love it if you would play for me sometime. I said, sure. So I knew I could get Rodrigo y Gabriela. I knew I could get a Nad Gibran. Coincidentally, I met a bunch of Cuban metal artists.
Go on.
In New York. Okay, so a band called Escape,
mm-hmm.
and they were playing in New York, and I was asked by a mutual friend if I would guest with them for a live show.
Okay.
Which I did. And there was a keyboardist there, and her name was Jennifer Hernandez. And she told me the whole story, how she hadn't seen her father in years because her father's emigrated to the United States, and it was so complicated with the Cuban situation. And she kept mentioning her father's this drummer. And this great drummer, and he's played with all these people. And then I started putting two and two together. And I said, wait a second, is your dad Horacio El Negro Hernandez? Then sure enough, it was. This is one of my favorite drummers of all time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yes.
Dude, what are the odds?
Yeah. So anyways, and then I got to know him as well. So then I thought, okay, well, there's the roots of my Cuban band, and I just started. I realized I had about half an album of like amazing world artists that I could get, and and my schedule also had opened up so that I could jump in and make that project happen, or it would be years if it ever happened. Again, so it's just one of those things. Okay, I have to do this. This was not that long ago, like 2014. I think it came out in 2014. So, and then it was a matter of filling the gap. So I found through mutual friends, I found a band in New York called House of Waters, and they're now starting to do big things. They're signed to Grind Up Records, which is the label for us, Snarky Puppy, which is an instrumental project that's doing huge things, and they ended up sort of being the core group for most of the album.
Okay.
So so some of the songs are me and House of Waters with guests, and then others like the Cuban group. It's Jenny and Horacio El Negro Hernandez, and a couple of other Cuban musicians they recommended. There's another with an Argentinian musician. So each song is a different part of the world. And it ended up being this big statement, not just musically, but also in a way socially, because it's all these different regions. Mm-hmm. Some of them that don't get along. I've got European track with musicians from Greece and Turkey. Mm-hmm. There's Palestinian oud players, there's Israeli percussionists, and just with music, everybody gets along.
Yeah, I love it when that happens. Which kind of makes me want to ask: are you ever going to collaborate with Orphanland? Because they are all about about uniting Israelis and Palestinians.
Oh yeah, it's true. I would totally be open to it.
Yeah,
they're a great band.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, actually.
Okay, I'm going to put that idea in their ears then.
Okay. But yeah, so I'd also wanted to do an acoustic album, and I realized this Planetary Coalition, this could be the perfect blend of the world music album that I'd always wanted to do and the acoustic album that I'd always wanted.
Okay, so you managed to get both statements out at once and also make this huge social thing.
Yeah. It was a combination of many things.
Yeah, it's an amazing record. There's so much happening there, and it kind of sounds like you're playing more than just guitar on that album.
Yeah, it's true. There's a very lute-like instrument that Godin Guitars makes. It's actually a lot like an oud, but it's tuned like a guitar.
Okay, it kind of looked like a bouzouki to me.
Yeah, it looks like that, but it's different. And you play it like a guitar, it feels a little different. You have to get used to it, but and that had a great sound, and some of those songs too ended up finding their way into other projects too, like the Argentinian song is called Django Tango,
which you played last night.
Yeah, and the version on the Planetary Coalition album has no drums. It's just it's piano and accordion and violin and guitar. But we tried it as the trio, and it just works, and it becomes something completely different. Now it has almost like a David Lynch soundtrack.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to the variety that you've introduced to the Alex Skolnick Trio. I mean, early on, you guys made a name for yourselves playing like instrumental jazz interpretations of rock and metal songs and some original bebop stuff, but you're playing across a lot of different styles now. Yeah,
I decided a number of years ago that I don't want to limit it anymore. Mm-hmm. I think the idea of playing recording a jazz guitar project when you're known for touring with Slayer, that was a radical idea. And next thing you know, we were doing it, and we were in downbeat and jazzes, and we sort of we found a little corner of the jazz world.
Nice.
Which I was very proud of. But as time went on, I realized we could just stay there and just do that, or it could be a one-time novelty thing, which a lot of people thought that it was going to be, or it could expand and just really reflect our musical interests and development. I think all of us have developed as musicians and composers, and I like a lot of different. I've always liked a lot of different types of music. I never thought it was odd to just have very diverse and broad listening tastes. When the film Pulp Fiction came out. It was great. A lot of people discovered these songs. I knew most of those songs. I knew that was Dick Dale in the Hold Up scene, with the surf guitar. But I knew that was Kool and the Gang doing Jungle Boogie. But a lot of people, were discovering that music. So I've always had this, broad, musical outlook, and I figure why not continue that, and why just do the jazz guitar sound, and why just, even though that's our foundation still, and I bring a lot of those influences into it, but why not explore other sounds, and why not explore, bring in some tango, some funk, some hardcore blues.
Mm-hmm. You played an original country tune last night.
Country, yeah, that too.
Yeah, and that's not exactly an easy style of music to play. A lot of people don't get that, but it's really, really demanding.
It really is. It's got its own feel. It's a little bit like learning funk or Cuban music. There's a certain pocket that's really hard to get. Also because like the type of rhythm on our tune called Culture Shock. Mm-hmm. There's a video. There's a couple videos for it. There's a live video, but we did a recent video for it that everyone should check out. And it just says video from the album Conundrum. But that type of pocket, it's like a really up tempo Western swing. It's hard to get. It's hard to solo and play that because the music it feels like it's pushing. It's like a train, and there's a temptation to go faster than you should. And learning how not to do that is a challenge.
Yeah, that performance in San Antonio last night was absolutely smoking.
Thanks.
Yeah, start to finish, it was just a great time, and it really, really highlighted how you, Matt, and Nathan have this weird intangible chemistry. I guess out of playing, for so many years together, and you guys are making all these seamless changes across so many different genres, like it's nothing. I mean, you guys are obviously having a great time, but you guys are so adept at what you're doing, and that really, really comes across in your performance.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, by the way, y'all's take on Texas Flood was completely appropriate, and it was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's we've been for a couple years now. We've wrapped up the show with a little bit of blues, and it was Hendrix for a while, Red House, and then there was a benefit for Hurricane Harvey in New York, for a benefit for Texas, where just artists in New York were doing songs for Texas by Texas artists.
Nice.
So somebody did a ZZ Top tune, somebody did a Patsy Cline tune, Rock Band did a Pantera song.
Of course.
So they said, anything you want to do. Okay, well, there it is, Texas Flood.
Yep.
And I just love playing it, and I think I always loved Stevie Ray Vaughan, but as I get older, I just appreciate him even more. And so it's really fun to be playing that every night, and especially in Texas.
Yeah, I'm fond of telling people that if you're from Texas and you don't like Stevie Ray Vaughan, that's basically treason.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you should be deported.
I just realized that the 25th anniversary of the passing of Chris Oliva was just 2 days ago when you guys were in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys do anything special to commemorate that?
I did some interviews for that. Musically it doesn't really fit into what we're doing. So I just, I did, just more verbal tributes.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole, it's interesting how that whole situation connected to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, because the one heavy rock recording I did in the 90s was Savatage.
Right.
Which I wish I didn't have to do it. But it was because Chris couldn't complete the album. And his brother told me, look, I know my brother, the only guy he would want playing these parts is you. So, hey, how do you say no to? And it was, it was a really good experience. I was within a year or so, though, I was really sort of on my path towards what I'm doing now. And also, at that point, I was still living on the West Coast, so I just felt, in fairness, they for a long-term touring guitar player, they were better off with somebody else. But within a few years, they had morphed into Trans-Siberian Orchestra and needed a guitar player. So, and by that point, I was on the East Coast, and that was how that all started. So for about 9 touring seasons, I toured with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Nice. What a great gig to have.
Yeah, it was great for a while. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet.
I understand. And it just takes so much energy, and the shows are long. They're more than, when I was doing them, they were 2.5 to 3 hours.
Jeez.
And you would often do 2 shows in a day on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just draining. It just drains all your energy. So, yeah, it's a great thing to do. But I eventually got to the point I realized, okay, it's taking more. And I'm not. If I kept doing it after 2009, I wouldn't have the energy that I wanted to do projects like Planetary Coalition or the trio on the level that we're doing. And also at that point, Testament was resurrected.
Yeah.
The are coming. Testament's had a tour like almost every winter since then. So
that's something of a conflict.
I need to step away and just now I'm guitar player of many projects, including Testament, and I need those winters.
Mm-hmm. Dude, Alex, I am so grateful for all your time. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
You have covered so much stylistic ground over the course of your career, and you've done it so freaking well, it's absurd. So, what do you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Gosh, I think it'll probably, the answer will come. I don't know. I think what I would like to, I feel like there are things that are even happening live that haven't been recorded yet.
Okay.
Like we were just talking about, me, tapping into the Stevie Ray Vaughan side of things, like we do live. But I don't have any recordings, of me like doing real blues. Real blues music. So that's a seed that's planted.
Awesome.
Let's put it that way.
Cool.
We'll
going back to the roots of rock.
Yeah. We shall see.
Awesome. Yeah. Alex, I'm so grateful for all your time. I'm grateful for all the wonderful music you've put out there. Just thank you for everything, man.
Thanks, Gonzo. Appreciate it.
All right. You guys drive safely, all right? The roads are wet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. We got it. All right, see you later.
All right. Thank you. Alex Skolnick, y'all. The Alex Skolnick Trio's new album, Conundrum, is out now, and it's available for purchase at alexskolnick.com. The Alex Skolnick Trio is currently touring the state of Texas and will be in Ganado tonight, October 19th, McKinney in the Dallas area on Saturday, the 20th, and in the live music capital of the world, Austin, Texas, on Sunday, the 21st of October. By the way, that was Django Tango you heard at the top of the interview, and that cool cut is on Alex's Planetary Coalition album, which must be heard to be believed. It's pretty awesome. Please remember to find us on Stitcher, Apple, and Google Play to get notified of all our interviews and to get notified about our Talking Perspectives podcast discussion. And don't forget to find us on Facebook and Twitter. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. And of course, please check out our website at sonicperspectives.com. I'm Gonzo the Unpronounceable. It's flooding down in Texas, and we're going to take it out with the Alex Skolnick Trio's reinterpretation of a Testament classic. This is Practica lo que predicas. Practice what you preach.